All right, so now we're gonna spend some time working on the shoulder joints. I always tell people that the shoulder joints are kind of like an N64 controller. If you ever played Nintendo 64 back in the day, you would have that little joystick in the middle, right? You play around with it. That's the same as your shoulder. It's a capsule joint. Same thing with your hips. They're the most mobile. They have the most range of motion because I can move it anywhere I damn near please. So it's always really, really important to give your shoulders love. Whether you're squatting, whether you're pulling or pushing with the upper body, any type of movement, you really, really want to keep those shoulders nice and healthy because once your shoulders are messed up, it's really, really hard to come back from that with pain-free. So you always want to take care of them while they're still good. So there's a few of these that I'm going to go through. You can kind of pick and choose whichever ones you want to throw in. I'll explain the importance of some of them when I come down to them. But anytime we have any type of pushing, pulling, or like I said, squatting, anytime you're holding any type of weight or using your shoulders, you want to make sure you warm them up. So the most basic ones are kind of just here out to the side, reaching the arms out, and then we're just making little circles here. I usually like to spend maybe it's like 15 to 20 seconds each direction, kind of making sure the shoulder gets a little tired. Then I switch directions. Now, a lot of times what I like to do, I'll take a step back here so you can notice what I'm doing. I like to still keep the circles active as I start to slowly transition up overhead. Now this one's really, really important, especially when I'm pressing like a kettlebell, dumbbell, barbell, anything up overhead, because if you notice, I need the mobility to be able to keep everything stacked up and keeping my bicep here next to my ear and be able to do that. So I'm keeping the circles nice and wide with both arms, reaching back as far as I can, but also as I'm doing that, I want to make sure that I keep my ribs nice and tight, everything pressed in there. Because if I were to press 300 pounds up over my head with the barbell, as soon as I start to arch, it's game over, right? My lower back takes all that damage. Or on the contrary, if I'm not talking about my spine, if I'm pushing out with my shoulders, if I'm pushing up here and I don't have the mobility to come up overhead, there's no way I could press 200 pounds, 300 pounds this way without my shoulders giving out or getting hurt, right? So this one's really nice to use, especially when you're going up overhead with anything, whether it be a kettlebell, dumbbell, whatever type of press you're doing up overhead. It's a really nice tool to kind of get everything warmed up, keep the joint nice and safe. Now, next one, it's kind of a funny looking move, but it really helps to kind of rig out the shoulder and get it warmed up. So I like to start with the palms reaching up or facing up. And I'm gonna initiate this movement through either shoulder. You can pick a side. I'm gonna start to slowly twist that shoulder and then make sure that wrist turns all the way up. So my palms are gonna be facing up towards the ceiling. So if I have both arms out, I'm gonna initiate the movement through the shoulder, get both palms facing up. I unscrew there. Then I can start to wring out the other shoulder. I'm going back and forth. I'm gonna show you a little bit more sped up version of it. But remember, start the movement through the shoulder and not through the wrist and the shoulder, right? We really wanna focus on getting that shoulder warmed up. So we're just going back and forth here, back and forth. This one you start to really feel burning up on the shoulder. So it's a really, really good one to throw in there, especially once you kind of get everything else moving. I like to throw that one in a little bit later towards the end. Now, like I said, this one is really, really important as well. I like to kind of just do this one every day, no matter what, just to keep the shoulders moving. I start with both arms facing forward and I kind of go into this like backstroke. So I'm gonna slowly tilt my arm back and then my thumb's gonna wanna naturally rotate. So once I start to open up, it's gonna wanna naturally rotate and then I'm gonna allow it to kind of rotate in order to finish the stroke. So I'm treating it like a backstroke. Open up the shoulder. Now try to not open up the chest too much on this one, right? We want to make sure the torso is still facing forward. Trying to keep all the movement in the shoulder capsule. You can kind of play around with it and go both arms at the same time, right? Just work to your range. Try to get as wide as you can without having to arch in the ribs or without having to tilt the torso or chest either direction, right? Just keep all the movement in the shoulder capsule, and then from there you can reverse, go forward, That's another really, really good one, is to kind of keep the shoulders moving, keep them active.